What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another installment of Rink Side Chatter. I am joined by the stoned ones themselves. They are Dusty and Ginger. What's going on, boys?
Happy to be here.
Oh, not much, man.
Baked.
I am
Freshly
also
baked.
I'm also joined by the man who wheels around the WHL collecting people's stats. What up, Wheels?
What's going on, boys?
And as always, the Rag fan, the Ranger fan, Scouse.
I'm sorry if I'm the only one here that's actually won a championship and seen their team do it. So
Well played.
And of course, I am Shadow. Boys, the 2024 Stanley Cup playoffs have concluded as of Monday night. We've seen a roller coaster of this series. Hot goaltending, streaky forwards. Could you guys ask for a better Stanley Cup final?
yeah,
Yeah.
the other team could have won.
That would have been nice.
Listen, I didn't give a shit either way.
It was
I'm
Yeah,
just
great.
you
glad
did.
I'm just glad Roberto Luongo has a cup now.
I
Yeah, but
guess,
that's-
yeah, it was nice to see him beating that drum.
So before the rest of us dive into this, how we feeling, Justin?
It's disappointing for sure, but winning a championship a couple weeks ago or a month ago really helps lessen the blow.
Right. As an Oiler perspective, though, where were your emotions on Monday night, man?
I mean, I've been involved in hockey a long time, so it was painful, but that's hockey, you know. I feel like Edmonton outplayed Florida in 6 of the 7 games and just didn't bury on the net, and that's the way it goes. It doesn't matter if you outplay a team if they outscore you. So, not going to win a cup scoring one or 0 goals per game in the 4 they won. So,
Fair enough.
Didn't
Dusty
they actually
Ginger.
outscore the other team though for the series?
yeah, they did because they had 18 goals in the games they won, but the 4 Florida won, they only had, I think, 5 goals, 5 goals in 4 games.
It's a crazy
I
stat.
think it was something like that, yeah.
It's crazy how that happens. That can happen in the NHL.
Like I said, hot goaltending, right? And I mean, Bobrovsky was on the case and got the cup.
I mean, first 3 games he was posting historically great numbers, the best we had ever seen to start a finals. So, I mean, he deserved that cup for sure. I don't know about the rest of Florida, but he willed them to that thing. So, I'm happy for him.
I mean, Bobrovsky is one of those goaltenders. He might play for the wrong team, in our opinions, but I don't know if my sentence got across there. I hit my phone on accident there. He's one of those goalies where he plays for the wrong team, but he's a hell of a talent.
Mm-hmm.
I could
I
see
mean,
that.
I'd say he earned that $10 million contract for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, off that. And you know what? He actually didn't he become, I believe he became the second player to win the Stanley Cup that or in the salary cap area that makes over $10 million or $10 million or above.
So,
Because Jack Eichel was the first.
fuck that guy.
Yeah, there's never been one over 10 million, but he's the second to make 10 million and win it, I think.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Nobody above that though. 11 plus has never won the cup yet.
Yeah.
But if you break it down by percentage of cap when guys signed, there's been a lot more. So
Mhm.
Right, because of when
Crosby and Malkin.
I was gonna say Crosby, Malkin,
Yeah.
and Pittsburgh, they were like them two combined, weren't they? Like 40% of the team's cap at that point, or
Yeah.
something
like that,
crazy, something
Yeah.
crazy like
Crosby
that.
was like 16 or 17% himself. So
Yeah,
Wasn't he one of the highest like cap percentages for quite a long time too?
Mhm.
Like the most percentage of the cap that went towards like him, I believe it was. Tell McDavid.
I don't even know if it was till McDavid. It might have been
Matthews,
somebody
Austin
else.
Matthews.
I was gonna say Matthews was.
Matthews is the highest paid player and the highest cap percentage. So.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
happens when cap keeps going up, though. It allows
He's paid what, 3.5 more than McDavid a year, $4 million a year more.
It's crazy.
It's disheartening.
No, I thought McDavid was 12, right?
Oh, is it? Yeah. No, you're right.
Does that?
And
I mean,
Matthews is going to be 13 point something, just
Yeah.
a slight higher than.
McDavid and Draisaitl are both getting raises this summer, so
so
Oh,
at least
yeah.
What do those look like?
they're going to be outrageous. I bet you.
Not like mine was this year, I don't think.
So this leads me into a question for you guys. After, I mean, I already memed the shit out of it, and then it just happened to go to 7. But after the Panthers went up 3-0, did you guys really believe that we were going to see 3 straight wins from the Oilers?
Personally, I did. I had it going 7, regardless of what happened in the first 3. And the way Edmonton played in game 1 and 3, I thought they had a good shot to, if they kept playing like that, to extend the series. But yeah, game 2 was obviously a stinker. That's the one game I feel like Florida actually beat the Oilers in pace of play,
Yeah.
physicality and shots and all that kind of stuff. So
That's
Yeah.
fair.
other than that, I feel like Edmonton won 6 of the 7, just not on the scoreboard, which is ultimately where it counts. But
Yeah.
I felt like they could extend the series if they played like game 1 the whole series. So
That's fair. Dusty, what are you thinking on that?
I'm agreeing with what they said. Basically, Oilers did push a lot of the play for the majority of it. Like, and then as you watch, they came back, and when they tied the series, like they were so dominant against Florida. Like, they made Bobrovsky look human.
that's kind of the team Florida is, though. Like Scals can probably agree. Like they'll just wait
Yeah,
it out, and Bob will save them, and then they'll get some weird cheesy like 2-on-1 or something, and they'll just capitalize on the one chance they get that period. And it's like
yeah,
they're a freaking frustrating team because they just capitalize
Yeah.
every time you make a mistake. You don't have to
Yeah,
make many
and that
against
was-
them, but they'll score when you do.
I mean,
They're
And
merchant.
it's funny
they're
you
mistake
mentioned that
merchants.
too. Yeah, because I remember watching that play. McDavid misses that wide open net. Florida comes
Yeah.
down and scores on that, and I right off that, I just knew. I had a feeling that was game.
Yeah. And then after that, they missed
Like,
probably 3 more wide open nets, couldn't tap it in.
Yeah.
So
they
that
missed
was
3
just
wide
fate.
open nets. The defense was in the right spot at the right time, making saves, but Bobrovsky was all over the place, and his team actually bailed him out in that third period, I feel.
Yeah,
Connor chipping it over the bar about 6 inches too on that one cut play was that kind of sealed the deal. He goes bar down there. I think
Oh.
Edmonton wins the cup, but that would have
was
been
the puck in
a game
Edmonton
changer.
zone the whole third period of like the final?
I
Here
want
and
to say
there,
probably
but
for
not much.
for the majority of the period, maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes. It was in the Edmonton zone. The rest of it was over in
Yeah.
Florida. Like it was just,
Yeah,
it was insane.
like I couldn't believe like they didn't score. Like I wasn't emotional about the game whatsoever. I was watching it like Shadow, like we're just good hockey, and they did. They both performed. It was great hockey.
So
That's what's fun about hockey, though, right? It's so random, and
Yeah.
you can
Mm-hmm.
kick the ass of the other opponent, but if they put more in your net, ultimately they win the game. So
right, and like, okay, so we watched 7 games, and I mean, what, 1 in 2 were like closer in score, and then 3, 4, 5, 6 were like boom, 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 boom.
They were
Does
just
that-
ass kickings, basically.
but that made
game
such a
3 was
lack.
4-3 for Florida, but
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But it was 4-3. It wasn't 2-1. That was such a lackluster game 7 almost.
well, for goals, but not for action. I mean, McDavid was all over the place. Draisaitl was all over the place. He was
Yeah.
whiffing
Well,
on shots.
If
He
according
buries
to
a couple
every
of those, they would have won too. So
fan, McDavid was nowhere to be seen on the ice. Like everybody's
that's
saying
fans
he
looking
did
hot.
nothing. No,
He wasn't
I-
to be seen
Yeah.
because he was zooming around so fast.
That's
He
one
was-
thing I've run into with scouting is a lot of fans will have a take on a player just because they don't have like the box score stats, and it's like,
Correct.
do you not see what he does away from the play? away from the puck. Like how many chances he generates. Like sure he didn't score tonight, but he generated 7 quality chances. Like
I know Scal's opinion on this, and I'm going to hold him to the end of this. I know it's game 7. Whistles tend to go away. But do you guys feel that there was some stuff that happened in that game that maybe should have been called that may have swayed the game a bit?
not really. No. I feel like that one trip
honest,
on
man.
Chuck was cheesy, but Buddy ran over Skinner like 2 seconds before that, which should have been called. So that was kind of a makeup call, I feel like. But
what about McDavid being held there literally by his leg along the boards there in the third?
it's game 7, pal.
Man, it's
Game
I
7.
know. I know.
Whistles away.
I understood that.
But you can't call the game based off of just the game. Like that's
No, I get that.
that's
I wish
not
they'd
how,
call it the same as regular season the whole way through.
It's not even the regular season. It's just the rest of the series. Halfway through the second period, it's like the refs lost their whistle. The only reason they called the one on Kachuk when he was sliding was because he slid and took the guy out, even though they should have called it because it wasn't.
It should have been a call, but he has a history of embellishment.
Right.
I'll tell you why they probably don't make a lot of calls, and this one stings with the Leaf fans. But '93 playoffs, man, there was a call that arguably changed the series for the Leafs when Gretzky's missed high stick on Gilmore.
Yeah.
Right. And then there was makeup calls made up for it later on. But I mean, that's probably why the whistles go away, is because they don't want to be like, who was it? Who was that ref again?
Kerry Fraser.
Yeah, nobody wants to be the next Kerry Fraser, right?
Yeah, they don't want to be responsible for making the outcome of the series. I get it, but there was some obvious ones that should have been called.
I think part of the league's problem too is they don't have consistency between refs. Like it's kind of you go based on your own judgment, and every guy's got a different judgment of the rule book when it should just be a trip's a trip, a high stick's a high stick, like
Black
whatever.
and white.
Yeah,
Black
like,
and white. Yeah.
they really need to I mean, the NFL I feel like does a much better job of that. Like it's just you're offsides. Like they just call it. Like
Right.
Mm-hmm.
whereas like the NHL, it's like, well, this guy doesn't really call those type of plays, so tonight you can get away with some stick work, and like it's just like I don't know.
That's
The
the Leafs anytime
consistency
Wes
is
McCauley
missing
is
for
our.
a professional league.
That's the Leafs every time Wes McCauley is a ref for us.
So, like, with having that theory, right? Like, would you not think, okay, game 1, I'm going to dress a fucking plug to go out there. I'm going to put him on the ice, and sure, he might cause a goal when he's on the ice, but I'm going to get him to take his stick and whack it as hard as he can over someone's wrist. That's going to impact the series.
Yeah, but the
It'll
problem.
impact the series. Yeah.
Yeah, but at that point,
Or
That's
look
true.
at Kreider going into Carey Price. Remember in that playoff series, that run?
of course,
And I
you
know
know,
it's taken
the
on
one
Scal.
where he was
Eyes, 'cause
the
it
one where he was
benefited
pushed
him.
from behind. That has been shown millions of times, and Canadians fans can't get over the fact that he actually was hit from behind and pushed.
Yeah,
into
but you have
place.
Leaf fans backing that it was dirty. That's the problem.
Oh, because they wanted the Canadian team. They wanted Price to win the cup.
I mean, who wouldn't want Carey Price to win a cup?
Price about the only hab I want to win the cup.
Right? That's
Exactly.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There aren't many others.
I mean, it's not like the Rangers did anything significant after that, anyways. So,
I mean, they made it to the cup final. That helped introduce the
and then
the offsides challenge goal rule, because the Kings got away with 2 of them in the finals.
so what you're
I would
saying
have
is they
loved
cr-
either of those guys winning a cup, Lundqvist or Price, but such is life.
So
Yeah,
Dusty,
Lundqvist should have got a cup.
So Dusty, you're saying that you send out a gooner in game 1 to do some damage, right? There's two things that can go wrong here. One, because if it's a very clear intent, I'm pretty sure at some point you could press criminal charges because of the actual shit to it.
I don't know.
And
The
2,
Trashers got away with it.
listen, leave Danny Heatley in his car accident alone.
So there's never ever been a player that has been Sorry, there's been
Yeah.
one, and I don't even think it actually the charges actually.
Chara running
stayed.
Pacioretty into that stanchion.
No, he didn't get charged for that. The Topper Tuesday incident.
Oh,
And I'm
yeah,
pretty
that
sure
went to court.
charges were even dropped on that.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
but
sure
then it was a
charges were even
lawsuit.
dropped on that. But I don't think anyone's ever been arrested for anything on the actual ice that's ever happened.
I hate to be that guy, but this is not NHL. But
No.
over
No, I
whatever
was just
happened to
going to
that
say that. Yep.
that guy that lost his life because of the skate across the throat, right?
Yeah.
But we're not going to talk about that because I don't want to talk about that. Okay, so we're in Game 7. Every little mistake matters, right? I think both sides played a pretty... Like, there was a couple mistakes, but nothing severe, per se. Both teams played a near-perfect game, in my opinion, and that was the outcome. Like, that's how I see
No,
it.
I completely disagree. There was tons of defensive breakdowns, and like I said, the Oilers missed like 4 or 5 wide open nets. Like they had their opportunities, they just didn't bury. Like,
yeah,
so
there's quite a few.
I don't think there was a
showed up early
perfect
for
game
sure.
played by either team for sure, but like
defensively by
perfect
the
in my
Panthers,
eyes is
no.
probably different than perfect to Shadow though. But
Yeah,
I'm not like they execute
perfect
okay.
to
Very
me means you're
entertaining
on
game.
your guy every single time.
Let me rephrase then. They executed what they wanted. They just didn't get the results.
Yeah. No, that I agree with. Yeah, both teams went out there with a game plan and they stuck to it. Ultimately, Skinner should have had the second goal, but he played well enough to win if the Oilers can score a goal or two. So,
yeah, I mean, I gotta ask.
that happens.
So,
that's hockey.
how do you have Draisaitl? Okay, this is me being an asshole. Maybe it's a scorebox thing, but how do you have Draisaitl and McDavid get like nothing in the last 2 games?
I mean, they just missed the net a bunch. Unfortunately, that's as simple as it is. Like,
it's clear now that Draisaitl's been dealing with something around his arms, right? So I can get why.
Broken finger,
a broken rib.
Ribs. Yeah, broken ribs.
Yeah.
Oh. That's probably why he's whiffing on that goal line 1T.
Yeah, he's got a lot of pressure there.
Oh,
but we
can
don't
you imagine how horrible that would be to play hockey? With a broken rib.
Trying to take a one-timer with the twisting of your upper body with a broken rib would be horrible. I mean, the same thing happened to Kachuk last year, and his brother had to get him dressed before games, like to get him out of bed. So
what's the injury with McDavid that they said is going to require surgery?
Abdominal.
They haven't specified. They said it's abdominal, but
so probably a hernia or something.
Oh,
that's rough.
Oof.
That must have happened in the latter games of the series, though.
That's what I'm saying. Could it have been something that happened at the beginning of Game 6? Because Games 4 and 5, he was dominant. He was everywhere. He was getting points, goals, assists, everything. And all of a sudden, in Game 6, he doesn't get a shot.
I feel like he played well in Game 7, though. Like, he controlled the play quite a bit. So
yeah, he did. And
he skated around the whole zone with the puck. No one could get it from him. He had jets. It's just couldn't bury.
He was controlling the play,
Jamie?
and like they were getting that time to set up in the zone, like while he was like looping around doing this thing. Like you're saying,
if he finds somebody with that backhand pass into the scrum, that could be a goal.
Yeah.
If he doesn't put the puck over the net with that tip by 6 inches, that could change it. Like,
I'll give you a tip of 6 inches.
So one player though that I actually will say I didn't really notice him the whole game was Hyman, and I thought I would have noticed him a lot more.
the Hyman.
yeah, he had a couple plays, but wasn't.
Yeah.
Well, they essentially took. Hasn't he been playing with McDavid pretty much all year? Before this game,
I think so. Yeah.
Then they put McDavid and Draisaitl together, trying to generate the offense. And
I think that's Knob's biggest mistake is exclusively playing Draisaitl and McDavid together instead of having a 1-2 punch down the lineup.
Yeah,
I think that could have been a big factor in Game 7 if you just kept the way you were
unfortunately,
doing
Hyman's
things.
one of our only wingers that can put the puck in the net. Kane was a ghost. So.
I never even noticed Kane at all in the final.
Me either. I mean, when Corey Perry's one of your better forwards in Game 7 and he's 98 years old,
98
that's a
years.
problem. Like, that's definitely a problem, a depth problem, which
So the last
ultimately
5
falls
years,
on Ken Holland. So
So here's the last 5 years for Corey Perry since we brought him up. Stanley Cup final loss, Stanley Cup final loss, loss to the Leafs, Stanley Cup final loss, Stanley Cup final loss. I don't know what's worse, losing to us or losing in the final 4 times in the last 5 years.
He's doing something right to get there every year.
Yeah, he's hopping teams and banging moms. But I need to there's not much more we could talk about Game 7. There's other stuff we're going to talk about. But where do you guys rate this in the last 20 years of Stanley Cup Finals? Let me start with Duster. What do you rate this? Like, is it an all-timer? Is it a boring? What do you think?
I'm kind of like, I don't know. Like it was one of it was a top one, I would say. I wouldn't say it's like right up at the top for me, but I wouldn't say it's like I didn't want to watch it. Like I watched all the games. Usually I'm watching like a few of the Stanley Cup final games because I'm over the hockey, but I was drawn to it this series.
Okay. So, Justin, where do you feel like this ranks in the last 20 years?
I don't. I'm probably biased, but I feel like Edmonton carried the play throughout most of it. So it was kind of, as an Oiler fan, it was fun to watch. But it was kind of, I was kind of like, really, this is the team that got out of the East? Like, Bob was insane. Obviously, I understand why they got out of the East, but just I don't know. Florida, I felt like played better in the 5 games last year's final, personally, but
Fair.
and they lost 4-1. So.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. It's hockey's a weird game.
It is. Ginger, what's your take on this, man? Where do you throw this up there?
Well, I don't know. It was fun to watch, and it was nice to see Canada playing in the finals. It doesn't happen very often. I wouldn't say it was very historic, though.
I mean, it's happened about 5 times. in the
I
last 3 years.
think everyone has a hard time giving Florida Panthers a second glance. Like if they were relocated tomorrow, I don't think I'd lose sleep.
Fair.
So just to see them win the cup, it was cool for Roberto Luongo, but like I feel like next year Florida's going to be irrelevant again.
Probably and hopefully.
I don't think that's going to happen, but
what's your take on this in the last 20 years, man?
If you're basing it off just the first 3 games of the series, no one would bat an eye about it. But once Edmonton started making comeback, it turned into probably one of the better in the last decade, I would say.
Okay. For me personally, I don't know. I felt like I've watched at least the last 20 years of the Stanley Cup Finals that I can remember. I know I've watched more, but like you said, the first 3, and then Florida was right there, and I'm like, and I looked at, I counted them out straight up. I counted Edmonton out. I made memes, everything. I was talking so much shit. You know, to have that comeback, I mean, we've only seen 4 other teams even push a 7. So kudos to the Oilers and the benching staff, all that. Like they made it a series and they brought in a lot of things. So for me, I'm not ranking it an all-timer, but I would consider it a classic. Because we're gonna look back on this like 5-10 years, and it's gonna be a classic. But go ahead, Justin. Sorry.
I gotta say, as an Oiler fan, it was cool to see half the building be Oilers fans for Game 7, though.
That was
in a row
that
game.
was dope.
Like,
yeah, there was a
that was
lot.
crazy.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And that's what it's
national-
like for really any of the Canadian teams, I feel like, and maybe a couple of the U.S. ones, like maybe Boston, New York, like. But like all of the Canadian teams except maybe Ottawa would pack the building like that.
When they were doing the national anthems for both teams, and you had all the Canadians singing their national anthem, like
Buddy,
I said to Shadow, I was like, damn, they're loud. He goes, well, yeah, they're singing. He's like, are you surprised? I said, yeah, it's in Florida. Like it's not in Canada. Like that's what you expect.
At the handful of hockey games that I've been to at a professional level, I can tell you that we're not like a bunch of you fucking Yankees. We actually appreciate both anthems, and I guarantee you a lot of Canadians know the American anthem better than they know the Canadian anthem at this point.
And I take offense to that because I sit here and sing both anthems every time I'm watching a hockey game.
Yeah,
Said a
there's
lot.
good examples of it too. Remember when the mic?
Yeah,
cut
but
out
you're
in,
yeah.
Detroit?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do remember
Yeah.
that
Fans,
was
like they sung the whole Canadian anthem, like just belted it. So, I mean, Detroit's
You're also
pretty
in the
close to
northern
Canada,
state,
but-
though.
yeah,
You
Yeah.
take away a
It's just-
northern,
Northern
state, and you
state.
start going anywhere else. And it's like,
it's
oh.
just the fact that you normally don't hear that from like in an American arena when they're the home team against a Canadian. You don't really hear that. But
yeah.
the way like it was just impactful to start that game. Like I felt that gave Edmonton a good boost to start the game, and then to come out and go down 1-0. I felt like that kind of changed momentum in that game.
I know I learned
I mean,
something interesting
yeah.
this hockey season, and I brought it up to Dusty in the past. I never knew that Buffalo just automatically does both anthems. It doesn't matter; they just do it.
Yeah,
and I always thought that's cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, and look how many cups that's got them. Big fat 0.
So we've talked about Game 7 and our thoughts, but now comes the conversation that needs to be had because this is all over the map. But I mean, the five of us probably all have the same opinion on it. McDavid winning the Conn Smythe. To me, the fact that Florida even booed that, considering on the historic run he went on, it showed a lot of disrespect for one of the top players in the game, in my opinion. You have people out there that are crying, "Oh, you didn't come out and get it." Do you want to go out there in front of everybody in their building and receive an award that's an individual award when you were trying to get the biggest team award there is? Probably not. Jaguar,
I was just gonna bring him up.
He looked like he hated his life in that
He-
picture, by the way.
He regrets doing it, and he never brought the trophy into the locker room when he brought it into the back.
yeah.
He left it
So-
out on a trainer's table.
My
Yeah.
thoughts on this are, yeah, your biggest hockey superstar in today's game, arguably the face of the NHL, didn't come out to get the MVP of a playoff he could care less about now that he lost. It's not that big of a big deal to me. Dusty, what are your thoughts on this?
I don't. I'm kind of under the. He should have went out, man. It's something he might not ever do again. Like, yeah, he's a great player, and chances are he probably will win a cup. Is there?
Yeah, with the Leafs.
There could be a chance he doesn't do it again.
Yeah, good.
But I don't like. The NHL preaches the code, and it is kind of one of those unwritten rule. Like it is a form of disrespect. Like I feel if it's any other player that does it besides McDavid, I feel they're going to get a lot more reaction to it than there was on that one. Like if that was Barkov and he kind of did the snub, do you think people would be a lot harder and claiming, oh, it's because he's Finnish and like doesn't respect the game here?
That's a fair assessment, but I think any player on the losing team winning that award would do the same thing. And like I said, me personally, it doesn't bug me.
I
Ginger,
don't think
what-
any player on the losing team would do that, but as the captain, you look like an asshole going out there to celebrate an award right after
Yeah.
you lost the Stanley Cup. So
He
you leave your team to mope in the room and go celebrate winning MVP for a losing cause, and you just look like a dick.
he was the
Oh.
last person off the ice for Edmonton. He was the first one in line to shake hands. They didn't tell him he was winning the trophy until he was already back in the locker room. When when Gager won it, they told him while he was on the ice, so he didn't have a chance to leave.
Yeah, but Jaguar was like also more of like there wasn't anyone to challenge him that year really either.
I know, but he didn't want to do that because he
No,
wanted
I
to be
know,
with his
I know.
teammates. So it's like
Yeah, you probably felt
I
like an
don't
asshole
blame-
celebrating an individual award after losing the
I mean,
cup.
he said
That's
that.
exactly
right?
what he
Like,
said. I do not blame McDavid at all for not coming out. And I would never hold that against anybody because you're back there to be with your team. He's the leader of that team. If he went out there and took that trophy, he loses that locker room.
It's okay because we got a home for him in Toronto.
never
Ginger,
coming
what's
there.
your thoughts on this, man?
I've never been a fan of individual trophies. So if I lost the cup, I'd probably be pretty upset. If I was in Jaguar's shoes, you kind of have to take the picture, right? But like, if you're in the room with, I agree with Justin. If you're in the room with your team and you're all super upset and they're like, hey, yeah, you won MVP, want to come get a bunch of pictures? If I have the option to say no, I don't want that spotlight.
So
Personally.
So we've all had a couple days to skim over Twitter the last few days. Justin might not like his opinion, and I'm sure Danger Baby in the comments isn't gonna like this. But is this just the league's way of saying, here's our poster boy, we're gonna give him this, even though Bob could have easily won it?
He could not have easily won it.
I'm not talking about the voting. I'm not talking about the bullshit.
He had a
voting.
.9. He had a .906 save percentage. That is not MVP caliber.
Without Bob, they don't even get the cup.
Yeah.
He was on a fast track the first 3 games, and then he got lit titties.
Yeah.
That's
You could have given it to
kind of
Barkov.
ruined
You
his
could have given it
chance.
to Bob.
Yeah.
But my point here is this just the writers that actually did vote it? Just be like, yeah, McDavid deserves. Okay, take away the historic factor here, guys. But is this like McDavid's just? Oh, you're our poster boy, so we got to make at least something shine for you.
I don't think that
so.
was a poster boy thing, man. I think it was like
Broke
he
2 of
legit deserved
Gretzky's
the
playoff
Conn Smythe.
records. Like
Yeah.
he
And
beat
third
Gretzky's
most-
playoff record for assists.
Third most points ever. Like, if he didn't get it, then there would be speculation that the league rigged it so he didn't get it.
Okay, so how about for the Conn Smythe? There is an award show, what, tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Saturday, I think.
What's going on, Will? The
I'm pretty sure it's
draft
tomorrow night.
is the draft is Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, so the awards
So
are
I
tomorrow
want to say
night,
the
man.
awards are tomorrow.
That would be
So
a
why
great
don't
place
you-
for
why don't-
to present it.
Why don't you announce the Conn Smythe at the award show?
That would be a better idea.
But
Then you can have the person, because it is an unbelievable achievement, and the person, like, I get you don't in the moment, it's an emotional moment. Instead, take that all away and put it at the award show.
you have to keep in mind though, only JS Jaguar and Connor were the ones to win it on a losing team. So generally they
happened
present it.
twice?
Yeah, it's only happened twice. Every other time has been from the winner.
I thought
It's happened 5
Last-
times in history.
Oh, has it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
maybe-
last
maybe
skater
teams
was
that weren't in the
Reggie
finals,
something
yeah.
in the 70s. The last
Was he
skater
in the
was in the
finals?
70s.
Jaguar was the first goaltender to
yeah.
do it, though.
Yes, he was.
But like historically, that's generally they give it to somebody on the winning team because they think it's
Right.
stupid to give it to someone on the losing team, which I completely disagree with. If someone blows the doors off the league, but
Which we've seen this year. But okay, so let me play into conspiracy theory here for you. Because
What's
this
going
is
on,
fun.
Will? How are we doing tonight?
Now, obviously, we all seen the same games. Florida went up 3. Is there any, and I'm not taking the word skill at all, is there any coincidence that we went to 7 because of the fix?
my grandma's 80 years old and she said, "Are you sure they're not just letting the Oilers back into it to gain revenue?"
You gotta think, though.
She doesn't
The
even watch
league
hockey.
the league easily made another $40 million in those 4 games.
Yeah, but then
Dude,
why
but
did the NBA do it?
you're giving the NHL a lot of credit to be able to pull something like that off.
Listen, it's not that far fetched when we look at Tim, what's his face, that got thrown out of the league for
Yeah,
his
but
bullshit.
dude,
The only
we
reason
can't
I
even get what
subscribe to
goaltender
this-
interference is.
Dude, the only reason I like think there's even a shred of like possibility to this is because of like how freaking many betting ads are taking over. And like the amount of money that is to be made by the leagues from legal gambling is insane. So
So I had a
I
theory
mean
at
there's
the
a
beginning of the
possibility, but I don't
I had a
think so.
theory at the beginning of the playoffs, and I showed Dusty. I don't know if I showed Ginger. I know I haven't showed you, Justin. And I know I showed Scals. But y'all remember the bracket challenge? They pointed out, now this, in hindsight, could just mean stars of the world in general, or it could mean the Dallas Stars. But they were very specific to say whether you're cheering on the Panthers in that bracket challenge video.
And it showed the Panthers against the Rangers.
So that's where my conspiracy plays in, where I think the Panthers were set from the get-go to go to the final.
But to be fair, shout out, the Florida Panthers and the Rangers were 1 and 2 in the East.
No, they were. But, like...
Yeah, it's not like the Leafs got there.
But then on the other side of that card, if there is a fix in the league, and maybe this is just me speaking up my ass because, we are the hockey mecca of the world. But if the league really wanted to fix things, the amount of money that would be driven into the Stanley Cup playoffs, having the Leafs go to the final, would be astronomical.
Yeah, but they're thinking big picture with Florida. They're trying to grow the game in those hot spots.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean, though, right? Like, if that was... But
Yeah, but the game can't grow anymore in Toronto. Well, actually, that's a bit of a lie. The game can grow a lot more in Toronto now with the amount of immigration we've had to Canada.
Second team
But
coming?
at the same time...
The first team can't win. You want to bring a second one?
I love how the guy from
that's
New York...
exactly.
Hold on. I love how the guy from New York, who has like 6 teams, talks shit. When he's got the Islanders.
And all 3 teams have won cups more recent than your team in Toronto.
Hey, listen, we're just going to become the Cubs, man. 108 years without it. It's fine.
Just saying.
Please, no.
You keep trying to throw shade at New York, and I see a lot more championships over here between the Rangers, Devils, and the Islanders than I do from the Leafs.
Who's got more cups, the Islanders or the Rangers?
Islanders.
Yeah.
They won 4 in a row.
The better New York team. Got it.
No, they haven't won one since 84. So, no, they aren't the better New York team.
I mean, the Rangers have a lot more of a head start in the cup count.
Correct, but I don't know exactly
Quite a
the true
head
count.
start, yeah.
But the Rangers between 1940 and 94 didn't win any. So I understand that.
Okay,
They had to bring in an Oiler who knew how to win.
And we had to bring we didn't bring in one Oiler. I think we brought 6. I think there was 6 on that team.
So the New York Islander or the New York Oilers got it.
Hey, like you say, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
You know what though? Like that's perfect proof that it's a team sport though, because Gretzky never won again after leaving Edmonton.
Yep.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And he was still dominant after that, but it's a team sport. You win and lose as a team. And unfortunately, goalie's a big part of the team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
now,
Victor never stops that breakaway.
I want to get into a
different story.
I want to get into a different topic of discussion here, guys. The Hall of Fame class was announced this year. Once again, for whatever reason at this point, you can't tell me it's Russian politics. McGillney's not being inducted. Like, this has to be arguably the biggest snub job in the history of sports, not just hockey. The man literally changed the way Europeans come to the league. And we're still not inducting him into the Hall of Fame. It's ridiculous.
I don't think he'll ever get into the Hall of Fame.
At this point, no. I mean, you have Shea Weber's in this class. What has he done?
Yeah, I know.
Other than win the hardest slap shot
still,
competition.
He's still getting paid.
Yeah.
Shea Weber is still getting paid.
Yeah, but
like
so
he's still
was,
on its contract.
So was Pronger, and he went into the Hall of Fame.
But, like, my question is, what else does McGillney have to do? Which, I mean, arguably is nothing. He's fucking ancient now. But, like, how do
he
you
needs to become a coach?
How do you have Shea Weber, who's done nothing but win the hardest slap shot competition, get in there? He's never won a Norris.
That one did really confuse me. I don't understand that one.
He should have probably had 3 or 4 Norrises, to be honest. But
I mean, he's had Norris caliber seasons, but he's never won it.
No, I know.
So, like, you're literally inducting a guy who's never won any kind of individual award, has never won the cup, into the Hall of Fame over McGillney, who's arguably, like I said, changed the way Europeans come into the league. Because if it wasn't for him, I don't know if we get the Russian invasions or any of the Swedes and stuff coming over either.
So you agreed with Daxuk, though, right? Like, I think he was not a question to me.
No,
that's
he
not
should
a
be in
question.
there.
No, Datsuk going in is rightful in my opinion. I mean, he is a cup champion. He did what he did, right? Like that makes sense to me. Colin Campbell going in is just fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but that's like Gary Bettman getting into the Hall. Like, fuck off.
Wasn't that last year?
Man, I don't
Yeah.
remember that. I just wish the guy would just disappear from hockey. Like he looked. I'm sure he probably has some medical condition, and I'm being an asshole here.
Who?
Bettman.
He does.
But he looks like a fucking bobblehead when he's out there.
Yo, speaking of Bettman, and going back to the finals, was Florida the first team not to boo him in a while?
I think they're the only team not to boo him.
I think so.
Because like I didn't
Yeah,
hear
besides
many.
obviously, I think they even put booze in at the
Vegas.
Bubble Cup.
Yeah, they
Oh,
did.
the Bubble Cup.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah, they put it over the
they-
speakers.
they 100% piped in booze because it's great.
That was awesome.
So, does anybody have any other thing they want to talk about the Hall of Fame wise, or am I just blowing it up that McGillney needs to go in and this is
No,
ridiculous?
it's been an ongoing thing.
I
It's been for
agree.
years, man.
And
He
it has
should
been a
be
thing.
in it.
I just and he keeps getting brought up after every single time they come out with the inductees too. Like
Everyone's
I
upset
don't know.
about it.
Like, am I crazy? Like, maybe I just don't remember Roenick that much as a kid. But like,
I don't know why.
like McGillney over Roenick, or like
Roenick was a good player. Don't get me wrong. He was great. I
He was a
remember
great
seeing him
player,
in
and,
All-Star
like-
games and shit. But like, I'm kind of with you, Shadow. McGillney should have been named 3 weeks ago, last year, 3 years ago, 6 years ago.
I mean,
Wow,
he
I
only
don't know.
retired in the last 20 years, right? So, and he's been
Yeah,
eligible for
and
at
then they
least
put
17
Shea Weber
years.
as a first ballot. Shea Weber is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I mean, he's only got 200 less goals than McGillney, but
And like I get like they're different positions, right? But like
he was one of the hardest to play against D-men in his own zone for a decade. So
you are, yeah.
Look,
super
I-
hard hitter,
Like the
like
big thing with Team
30
Canada,
goal
right?
scorer. Like
now, hold on a second.
I get it outside of team awards and stuff, but
So, okay, one more thing I want to bring up
I
about
can make a
McGillney.
case. Go ahead.
You don't necessarily need to induct him as a player, but there is other wings of the Hall of Fame that he could easily be a builder. Because, like I said, he built the way Europeans come to the league.
Well, he should be in as a player. I'd be curious who he pissed off.
He
To be
should be
honest.
in his player.
There's a
I'd be
lot of
curious.
There's a lot of, and I don't really want to get into this because it is political, but there's a lot of stuff that's saying there's a deal between the Russian politics and the NHL that will not allow him because of the way he did it.
Well,
And that's,
keep in mind he's currently the president of the KHL too, so
but you know what I'm saying? There's a
I
lot of
don't want to give that
speculation.
league any shine whatsoever. So, oh, it's 100%
I didn't
behind the
realize.
scene, but
Is he
I
defected,
didn't
right?
realize he was.
or he's a president of a team in the KHL. Sorry, not the KHL,
Oh, okay. Still.
but yeah, the NHL hates that league. So
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
I don't know. It's just mind numbing to me that we're not getting
And-
him.
going back to what Dusty said too about like Barkov, people would be shitting on him about the way he like handled it because he's European and stuff. Like there's just a lot of xenophobic people. So I don't know.
Oh man. So we've covered the topics that I brought up. I think we have it. Oh, rule changes. Scals, I haven't got a chance to. You had the list. I don't know if you guys have gone over it. Scals wants the NHL to adapt some kind of delay of game penalty for holding the puck against the boards for
It's more of a
extended
delay.
periods of time.
It's more of a delay game to me than flipping a puck over the board, over the glass. Florida did it every single game that they won, where they held the puck over the boards for almost a minute every single time. In the past, the refs would always blow
maybe
the
not
whistle on
penalty,
that.
but I could blow it down.
They always used to, and now all of a sudden they stopped doing it And Florida took advantage of that every single time they could this entire postseason.
Yeah, Game 7, there was one. Kachuk pinned it against the boards for about a minute in the final 3 minutes. So that was pretty frustrating. But
every single game that they won.
Could we potentially see, let's say if they go this way, could we potentially see the NHL implementing a lacrosse/basketball type shot clock?
No.
You can't do that because they don't have the puck. It's the puck. There should be an internal timer for the refs. If the puck's not moved out of that within a 10-15 second time frame, they should be saying, move the puck, get it going. Otherwise, I'm blowing the play dead. Because because that definitely killed the ending of the games. It made none of the ending games when the team pulls a player, they're up 6-5, and then it's getting pinned against the boards. It's I don't know. That's my opinion on it.
As a player, if the ref doesn't say shit, you're not going to let off that puck and let them get it out to the slot. So you're not moving off that puck unless they force you to.
I don't blame the players on it. I'm saying
100%. Yeah.
The refs always used to be like, you need to move the puck. You can't hold it. And now all of a sudden it seems like they forgot that.
That's fair. So
they did change a couple rules for next year. If somebody does a delay game penalty where the puck is determined to have deflected off a player, stick, glass, or boards, and not on a judgment call, the coach can challenge the penalty to say that there should be a penalty.
That's stupid because isn't the whole purpose of this to speed the game up, and now they're just going to slow it down again?
Yeah, basically.
If they fail on the challenge, they're going to get the original. No, you could challenge to say that it went off of something, not to get the penalty.
So if there's a penalty coming for delay of game, putting it over the glass, you can challenge that it was deflected.
And if you lose, now you're getting 2 penalties.
Okay.
So coaches probably will not challenge that unless it's clear it went off a stick or something.
Yeah, nobody wants to be 5-on-3. All right.
Following an icing call, offensive centers now will receive warnings for face-off violations moving forward, just as the defensive players were doing.
I thought that was already a thing.
Great.
No, they only were doing
so it's going to be then you get it, and then I'll drop the puck.
And then an adjustment will be made to prevent the defensive team from making a line change when its goaltender accidentally dislodges the net. The old language just said that the rule applied to just skaters doing it. So now if the goalie does it as well,
so basically, the Matt Murray rule.
It affects like an icing, essentially.
Fucking Matt Murray. Fuck that guy.
Matt Murray
that's
rule
that I've seen so far. But
yeah, I mean the rules don't seem to.
And there's another one too. There's one more too. That if the player can't sit on top of the bench anymore.
Oh, on the board.
They get a warning, and then that's a penalty too.
I believe that's the New York Ranger rule.
Penalty as well.
Yo, that's going to help some teams not take too many men's.
I think that's the Ranger rule.
No, they're still finding a way.
They're sitting there ready, and they jump off when the guy's 30 feet away still. It's like, what the hell?
Like Florida in Game 7?
That's an egregious change. If the guy's not right at the boards, why are you already in the play?
So is
that a coaching issue?
I don't know.
When you see that,
I don't know.
I think that's a player miscue. At that point, you're a pro. You should know better.
I mean, the coach is trying to get every advantage he can. If they're allowing you to change early and you can get in the play before, and they're not calling too many men on the ice, they're gonna tell them to do it every single time.
Ultimately, everything that teams get away with is down to refs letting them get away with it. And players learn who's going to let them get away with shit and who won't too. So.
I feel like Game 7, Florida had 7 people on the ice multiple times, and they got away with it every time with the players being in the play.
Edmonton got away with one too. So
yeah, but
I have a question, and it's to do with this.
That's just officiating at the end of the day.
No, I know the officiating needs to be better overall.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I come to this question comes from a minor hockey league parent, and Ty will understand, Ginger will understand where I'm coming with this. I talked about a couple parents this year too on it. So you know when there's line changes, and once you start getting up to U11, U13, you start to see the penalties come out where there's too many skaters on the ice. But a lot of these kids aren't quick at line changes. So my question is, would it be detrimental? Oh my Jesus! Would it be hurtful towards minor hockey if they put in like a box per se, maybe about a foot wide from the bench, where if you're in that zone, you can be the extra skater for that, but you only have like 10 seconds to get out and 10 seconds to get back on the bench.
You mean an invisible box, right? Not a physical one.
Yes, like an invisible
Okay.
box, not an
So I'm
actual
thinking
line
this
on
is
the
gonna
ice.
change hockey big time if you got boards out there.
Yeah.
Like not like actual lines, but like
Yeah, I got you.
you have like a foot where if there's
But again,
8 skaters on the ice, there's no call because you're in that foot space because you're line changing because kids aren't quick, right?
Again, you're putting the onus on the linesman to make a decision then at that point, and it's his judgment call how big the box is. Like, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just another thing that the refs can screw up essentially.
Yeah, it's just a question I had
Yeah.
that I thought I'd bring up to you guys.
Oh, it's an interesting idea. I just think the refereeing is subpar right now for a professional league, and that would definitely be a problem I could see in the future.
There's way too much embellishment in the league too.
Okay, so today is Wednesday. The Stanley Cup was awarded Monday. I seen a video circulating online earlier, online earlier of one of the Florida players walking down the beach with the cup and absolutely nobody giving a shit. How does that make you feel as a hockey fan, knowing that it now is in a city where nobody seems to give a fuck, and it's 2 days after the cup win?
Dude, when you're in a place like Florida that's basically football crazy and then basketball crazy, doesn't surprise me.
I mean, there's also the video of Kachuk and Reinhardt on a balcony spilling beer out of the cup onto the whole 29 actual loyal Panther fans, guys.
Yeah, there wasn't many people there.
Does that hurt the growth? Seeing stuff like that?
I don't know. It'll be big when it goes back to their hometowns. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Oh, I'm sure it will,
like
but like
one of them is American. They have one American on
I know.
the team.
it'd be interesting to see
Yeah,
what
I've made
Kachuk
that
takes.
point before. Whereas, like, people are like, "Oh, well, it's going to be Canada's Cup. Like, it hasn't been 30 years." And I try to point out, it spends almost the entire summer in Canada going to the players' hometowns that won it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's in Canada all summer. Like, what do you mean? Canada
Well,
wins the cup every year.
It's technically here all
Yeah.
year round because of the Hall of Fame, right?
True, yeah.
But so where does Kachuk take it? Does he go to Winnipeg? Or excuse me, Manitoba? Does he go to St. Louis? Does he go to Boston?
He says he takes it wherever mom and dad say he can take it.
Should take it to Calgary.
That's good. Oh.
Oh.
So I have to ask Justin, how does it feel that he made that comment that shutting out the Flame fans and saying he wouldn't let Edmonton win? How's that feel for you?
I mean, I get it. He played there a long time, and even though he ripped their hearts out and turned them into a decade of darkness, I appreciate that. I mean, I'd like former players that played for the Oilers to do that too. I like Paul Maurice's comment about hoping Winnipeg gets one. So
That's
I
our
like
next
that
hope. That's the
personally.
only team that hasn't gone to the finals.
But I do think it's funny. Flames fans are like yerking him now, and it's like, bro, he destroyed your franchise. Like,
So Ginger brought this up with Papa Kachuk. How do we feel with Kachuk raising that cup, being a former player and never had won it? Now, see, this is a
His dad
double-edged
never
sword
won it?
because this
No.
is a double-edged sword because people are happy Roberto Luongo did it, but some people, Scals included, hate the fact
Roberto
that Kachuk-
Luongo is the president of hockey operations with Florida.
Okay, but
He's
my
in
point.
he's in the front office.
Okay,
Kachuk is not. And people that keep saying, well, he won it in St. Louis when he was the player of recruitment, the developer of recruitment or whatever, they don't even get mentioned at all about the cup.
So you're essentially saying Justin's not a real champion because he's a scout?
I didn't.
Oh,
I haven't won the cup yet. I take no offense.
I had to throw that dig in there.
I'm just saying, like, he should not have hoisted the cup above his head. He should not have.
Who
He
was
never
it that
won it.
did it? You said Keith or Brady?
Keith.
Keith.
I don't think Brady touched anything, but
Brady
don't know,
did not
right?
touch it. He would not even go on.
Yeah.
Like, he wouldn't go near it.
Keith is done playing, so I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah,
His
I don't
days
see
are
an
old.
issue with it either. He's the dad.
Celebrating his kid.
You see,
I don't know.
yeah. Like
Yeah,
if
you
my
see
kid
other
won the
parents
cup and he
lifting
was
it
like,
too.
"Hold the cup, Dad," I'd be like, "Yeah, fuck yeah."
But did you play? Were you on an NHL team and never won it?
Calgary Flames backup, Carolina backup, Tyler Moss. Look it up. I backed up Arderster Bay. I just lost ages somehow. No, I never played in the NHL. No, I get
But
your point though.
Like, that's one of the biggest honor. Like, PK Subban made a point of it this year. When the cup was in his studio, Messier tried to get him to do it. He goes, I've never won it. I'm not going to touch the cup.
I think that's because he's planning
Yeah, but
to come
he
back
thinks he's
soon.
got a chance to become management or something, or a scout or something else.
Regardless, he still wouldn't have done it, I don't think.
I don't know.
I think if he still hasn't won it as a manager or something, when he has his own kids in the NHL and they win it, I think he'll touch it.
Or his
Mhm.
brothers win it. One of the two.
Because PK will realize, okay, my time's passed. Like, I'm just a fan now.
You don't do that in the locker room where everybody can record it. Like,
I don't know.
hold it.
I'm mixed
if
on
no one
it.
sees it, like, it's different.
No, I get what you're saying. I'm just pointing out why it's probably not a big deal.
I think as a hockey parent myself, like Ginger said, my kid wins the cup. Yeah, I'm going to celebrate that. Let's take the fact that Keith was an NHL player. He's still a hockey dad. He still got those kids to, I'm sure the nannies did, but he still got those kids to practices, games, tournaments.
His sperm won the cup, so he can lift it.
Yeah. So, but then again,
Oh yes.
I don't know. It's a weird, that's a gray area, I guess, right? It all depends on your superstitions and but I got to shout out. This is going to the AHL. The Hershey Bears winning historic 13th Calder Cup. Back to back, by the way. They won last year and this year. They beat Coachella Valley Firebirds, I think they're called now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yep.
I couldn't tell you whose AHL teams those are.
That's Seattle.
Hershey, I
versus-
still think is Washington.
Hershey is Washington.
Yeah, and Seattle is
Seattle's
Coachella.
is Coachella.
Former
But-
Warrior on that winning team, Dylan McElrath.
Oh yeah.
Former
go.
Ranger.
Former Ranger, former I don't know if he's former now, but he did play for Detroit Red Wings too.
Yep.
That's where the Rangers traded
Cup
him.
of coffee in the show, but real effective player in the A.
Sorry, I always gotta do macho when I hear cup of coffee. Cup of coffee in the big time. But is there anything else you guys want to cover before we end the show here?
I think we're good.
I'm good.
I need some quick scouting, Justin. How's the draft looking? Is it deep? Is it shitty? Is what we're thinking here?
I think there's some better drafts coming up, but this one's gonna be good. Yeah, there's a couple high end WHL kids, Berkeley Catton, Teja Ganla, Jerome's son.
You gotta
Really
assume he goes to
dynamic
Calgary,
player.
right?
I don't know. That's a little high still. I think they're picking a little too high to make that type of play, but I
I
think
think Conroy's in charge.
Kitch goes in the 8 to 15 range, I think, but really dynamic player. I don't know if he's got his dad's scoring prowess, but it'd be a big hit of a pick if he does.
I mean, I wouldn't mind, Uncle Craig in head office being like, "Hey, kid, we got you," But
I mean, it would be a good story, but I think it's a bit of a reach where Calgary's picking. They could trade back a little bit and a couple picks back and take him, but
I mean, it doesn't really hurt Calgary to bring in a kid that can drive a lot of interest.
yeah, no. And at the same
Mhm.
time, really anywhere you take a kid in the first round, as long as you develop them well and don't rush them, you're probably going to be fine. But a lot of teams take these kids, take a reach, and then they don't properly develop them, and they're like, "What happened?" It's like, well,
I mean,
you took a kid a little too high and didn't put in the work for him to be successful. So
we can use that as a sample size coming into this season with Easton Cowan. Leafs took him way off the board there early.
yeah,
So,
and a couple years from now, he's going to be real good for you guys.
as long as he develops, I know what he's capable of from what I've seen in juniors. Now, this is junior hockey. This isn't the NHL. So, like you said, you have to develop. Development is key.
He's
to
high
your
IQ.
kids.
So. I just think he'll need a couple years in the A after this next junior year, and just to get used to playing with men and whatnot, and then I think he'll be a full-time NHLer after that.
Listen, his first season in a Marlies jersey, I'm meeting him. I'm there.
Yeah, he's a smart player too, so really talented.
All right, guys. We've done this. We've talked the Cup. We've talked the Hall of Fame. We talked some rule changes. We shot some shit about hockey in general. The NHL draft is coming up this weekend. The awards, I believe, are tomorrow night, as you guys said. We'll be
Tomorrow
back.
night, 7 p.m.
We'll be back sometime after free agency opens, and we'll be discussing some stuff.
Hey, just before we go, too, just wanted to say rest in peace to Sergei Berezin.
Oh yes,
passed away today.
Yeah.
I know that
Yeah,
he's a
it was-
Leafs guy, and a lot of Leafs fans love that guy. So rest in peace to him. Pretty young.
yes, sir. Yeah, that totally spaced on that. I wanted to bring that up too. But yeah, that's been the show.
I might have butchered his last name, but
I'm,
Berezin.
Berezin. Okay, there we go.
with that being said, this has been Rink Side Chatter. We've covered the Cup Finals. Hope you enjoyed the show. Dusty, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, or you can find me on the Puck and Stoner Dads YouTube page.
All right, Ginger, where can the people find you, bud?
The same thing he just said. Twitter at GingerClaus420. You're over with the Puck and Stoner Dads getting way too baked and complaining about hockey.
Justin, my guy, where can we find you?
Yeah, on Twitter, Wheels AKJ.
All right, Scales.
Find me here on Off the Top. Usually talking wrestling, but occasionally we're doing some Rink Side Chatter.
All right, I am Shadow. You can find me doing my interviews with Spotlight with Shadow. You can find me in the coming week over on Pucking Dad Stoner, whatever. Sorry, guys, I'm slaughtering that. I am exhausted. Pucking Dads.
Fucking Stoner Dads.
I am.
Yeah, I'm not the only one with a disability.
Listen, mine's just mental. I apologize for slaughtering that name, guys. I love
Just
you.
kidding.
I will be there later the upcoming week to talk some free agency signings with the boys over there. You can catch all my interviews coming up over the course of the summer. I have about 4 lined up talking about with indie wrestlers. I have a musician. I have a model, an actress. We're coming up. It's going to be fun. I am back in the grind of making some content here for Off the Top and Rivet City Radio. That being said, this has been Ringside Chatter. Keep your sticks on the ice and heads up.